Hello. So at this point, I'm assuming that you've started this hello widget, this kind of Princess Bride file, and saved it in your 251 repository or whatever your main repository is for the course, and that you've brought over this header. And so then I'm going to go and grab this one, the label widget header, which is pretty short and sweet. So bring this little snippet over. I'm going with Argyle here. There's a reason why I use different line breaks when I'm working with the user interface design compared to the simple line I had when we were doing the analysis, but that'll make more sense later. And so the first thing we're going to do is just, I've created this container called test label. And let's go over to docs and go into the UI tray. And this tray holds kind of all of the widgets that you can make, like these little kind of window gadgets, maybe is one way of thinking about them. But they're just little kind of little object tools that you can add to a user interface. And we've been working with the map widget kind of a lot, which is the default kind of map UI here. And what we're really going to be doing is essentially removing this default layout that is provided with Code Editor and kind of customizing our own user interface, which is what we'll do eventually today. But for now, I'm just going to introduce you to the label widget. So we've done charts already and we've done maps. Whenever we make a legend, we're essentially making a widget. It's a panel that we're adding. But let's start with this UI label. We're going to use this method it's going to be equal to the UI dot big L label. And then I'm just going to kind of treat it as a dictionary so that I can say value is one of the arguments that this thing takes. And for this, I'm going to type in this kind of silly sentence that's common for looking at type because it has a lot of the different examples like Q and Z that you don't often get. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, and um, there's going to be a couple of more arguments that we can feed it, but let's just start with that one. And let's go and say print my test label. And that's going to throw it over there, and you've got the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog to your and let's just compare that to what would happen if I just took this string and printed it directly to console. And you can see that basically the appearance of the letters looks different. And so what that means is that, labels are interesting. The words that appear on a map are interesting because we can read them, but we also kind of, when you read them, sometimes you hear a little voice in your head kind of speaking the words because we're processing the verbal information, but they're also being presented visually, usually often words you hear, and it comes through our auditory channel. But on a map, you tend to see words. So they're both visual and verbal uh, information. They're both verbal and visual stimuli. And so what the label is going to do, the label widget, is it's going to allow you to change the appearance and control the way that the font and the letters appear in a way that you can't with the console. The other thing it's going to allow you to do is if I just say map add test layer, test label, first of all, it's going to get mad at me for saying this. And it's going to say widgets cannot be added to a panel if they have all been printed in the console. And the idea here is that you're only allowed to you're only allowed to add a widget once. You can either print it to console and you've added it to this panel, or you can add it to your map, but you can't do both. So there it is. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog is appearing here. And just to kind of avoid confusion, I'm going to take that out there. Is that fair? So we've added a a label widget to our map, but we haven't really controlled much of it. But we can start to see that the label is sitting inside its own little panel. The panel has a background color; it's appearing white, and the label has a color; it's appearing black. There's a style to this kind of um, sans or sans serif. There's no feet on these letters as you would get if you were reading like the New York Times or the Post. And so anyway, we're, what we've done is we've added this widget to the map. Um, and what we're going to do next is style it. So I'm just going to save this for now and move on.